What are duendes? Deep in Mexican folklore, duendes are commonly spoken about, from tales that involve these small creatures giving gold coins to people in exchange for goods. But there are also old tales involving a more sinister ending. In 1931, a young man in his 20s named Sancho was out mushroom picking deep within the Oaxaca rainforest when suddenly he finds himself face to face with a small-sized village. It is then apparent to him that there are hundreds of these duende beings. They spoke to him as a friend, cracking jokes with him, giving him alcohol and gold coins. When Sancho decided it was time to go, he realized that he had lost a significant amount of time. When he got back to his village, nothing was the same. In fact, he did not recognize anyone. Upon further inspection, he realized he had been missing for 76 years. His last memories were of these duende creatures putting him in a trance and pressuring him inside a portal.
How many of you have heard of the urban legend of El Charro Negro? So the story of El Charro Negro is Mexican folklore, but people who have spotted shadows of El Charro Negro swear that there's truth to the story. So the story takes us to the early 1900s in a small town called San Juan de los Lagos in Mexico. And that's where we meet a man named Juan. He was said to have been a miner in a rural area with a young family. After a long day at the mines, him and a group of friends went to a local cantina to have some drinks. And in the middle of their drunken conversation, he said to his friends that life is very unfair and that he would do anything or give anything to be rich and powerful. And that's when a man dressed in all black entered the cantina. And he slowly approached Juan's table and whispered in his ear and said, "If you want this, then you can really have it." Creeped out about the entire thing, Juan's friends immediately left the table, but Juan was hypnotized by this man in black. The man in black then told Juan to go to a local mine known as the Coyote Cave. And because Juan was apparently so drunk, he just nodded in agreement and went to this cave. Juan waited and waited, but nothing happened. And just as Juan was about to leave, he turned and noticed a very large snake staring at him. He approached the snake and took it back with him, thinking that he could probably sell it for a fortune because of its abnormal size. When he got back to his home, he locked the snake in a dry hole and covered it with some wooden boards so it wouldn't escape. When Juan went to sleep, he was said to have had a very strange dream. And in the dream was the snake, except this time it could talk. And it said to him, "Thank you for giving me your home and for letting me enter your soul." It then told him that he would find payment for his soul in his barn the following morning. And if he were to accept the payment, then he would also owe the snake his firstborn son. When Juan woke up in the morning, he went to the barn and of course there were bags and bags of gold coins. When he went to go tell his wife, she was absolutely hysterical because their firstborn son was missing. And when he went to go check on the snake, he removed all the boards and to their horror, that's where they found their son's lifeless body and the snake was gone. However, Juan was immediately distracted by the amount of money he now had, and from there he ended up buying a large piece of land and built a farm. He was also apparently seen around town showing off all of his new money. But years later, the snake appeared one more time and asked for the life of his second son, to which Juan agreed in exchange for even more money. After that, Juan's wife left him and he was said to have had many girlfriends throughout the village. And this resulted in many more sons in order for him to exchange for more money. And apparently he kept doing this up until the day he passed. And at his funeral, apparently the man in black reappeared, presumably to take Juan's soul with him back to hell. And ever since then, El Charro Negro appears in the streets at
So, fun fact, lechuzas are described to be a type of witch that can transform into an owl, and in some versions even keep their humanistic nature. I don't know why they would do that, but whatever. Interesting enough, lechuza means owl in Spanish. However, they can't stay in the form of an owl or a bird forever and unfortunately look like your worst nightmare. But with these disguises, they can sneak up on anyone, bewitching them or killing them right then and there. It's become a common practice to tell children about La Lechuza so they don't go out at night alone. Supposedly, someone did catch La Lechuza. And after a couple of days, the owl started looking less like an owl and started looking more like a human woman. And voila, La Lechuza! Yes, this monster is extremely underrated.
we're going to New Mexico to talk about El Lobizon, the Wolfman. So in New Mexico, there's a city called Raton, otherwise known as Rat. And it got its name because when the settlers moved in, there were a lot of freaking rats. And eventually they exterminated all the rats. But that's when their real problem began. Something very big started digging up bodies at the cemetery and eating them. So the citizens poured concrete over the coffins. But then something started eating the farm animals. So they built bigger fences and started keeping guard stationed to protect the animals. And then one night, something broke into someone's home and ate an entire family. And throughout this whole time, people had seen this monster. They had initially thought it was just a giant rat, but then one day, someone saw it stand up on its hind legs and talk to itself. And because it was only ever spotted at night and never during the day, they called it El Lobizon, the Wolfman. And I know, it's not a wolfman, it's a rat man, but whatever. And surprisingly, actually stronger than a werewolf. Someone saw it decapitate a bear with one swing of its claw. Someone else saw it pick up a grown horse and carry it off. Its teeth are sharp enough to chew through solid rock, and it's bulletproof. And if you're waiting for me to say how it was defeated, keep waiting, because it wasn't. Never found it, never killed it, still alive today. Welcome to Latin America. We don't have happy endings in our folk tales. Have a magical day, everyone.
This family from Mexico was able to record this terrifying video of this girl after she was acting extremely strange. This was after the family did some research. They found out the girl was playing the Ouija board. Here is the video. Pay close attention.
Simón, ¿le bajas al baño, ¿Le bajas? Ya se tardó, yo creo que se tapó en el baño. Que sí, no tiene nada. Güey, ya te tardaste, chingo. ¿Cómo hace virguita? Ay.
Scariest folklore from around the world. Part 2. The Charro Negro is a tall, elegant man who wears an all-black suit who wanders the streets of Mexico and local cemeteries. The Charro appears at dusk in streets and lonely sidewalks, always looking for a pedestrian to whom to offer gold coins, which he takes out of a small bag that he always carries around his waist. Many say he is the ghost of a rich rancher, while others say he is the devil himself.
This next case is oh my gosh, bro. Why do you always bring up the up cases, bro? This happened in Mexico too. It always happens in Mexico. Yeah, bro. There's this kindergarten class who on every Monday they would go outside and march for the flag, the national anthem and stuff like that, for the Mexican flag. And they would do it in the street. And the reason why they would do it in the street is because their school or their class doesn't have a patio for them to do it at, so they have to do it on the street. And they do have permission to do it there too. There was this one time in 2002, regular routine of them marching outside for the flag. A guy shows up who also happens to be a neighbor for the class in school or whatever. So he pulls up and he's annoyed because they're blocking the street. He was either coming back from work or he was on his way to go to work. He was telling the teacher, it's either you move or I'm gonna kill you. He goes back in his car, he backs up, and then he just presses on the gas. He runs over the principal, a teacher, a parent, and 20 children, killing 2 children between the ages of 4 and 5. This piece of shit, bro. There was people outside recording the event. So he gets out. Cuts to like the interviews of like the parents and stuff like that. I do remember seeing a parent say how since they have a permit and there's room for him to go around, so I don't know what was the point of him doing that. And they also had interviewed him too. It seemed like he had no remorse over the whole situation. He was kind of blaming the teacher, saying like it's the teacher's fault this happened.
It just makes it worse the fact that he had space and the whole shit could have been avoided. He didn't have to do all that shit. He didn't have to fucking kill anybody. He didn't have to injure anybody, bro. Like
I looked at the wall, CG right there, El Jalisco Nueva. Now I don't want to say that too loud, but it stands for that right there, right? They had it all tagged up, my boy. They had it all on the wall, all tagged up. And I was like, fool, in my head, I was like, imagine what these fools that own the building feel like. They're like, fool, if we erase this, we just made instant ops. And so that tagging right there, fool, he has to leave it. He don't have no other option, fool. You erase that, fool, you just made enemies. Now, if he keeps it, the enemy ops can come and be like, oh, who owns this? Boom. Now, all of a sudden, you got ops no matter what now. These fools gave you ops. They gave you ops. They handed them to you. You say, here. You didn't want them, but here. Now you have them, my boy. So that picture right there, showing the stuff, my boy, that goes down over here. This is stuff that's impreventable. Stuff that, my boy, that I wish was different, but I can't change it, fool. I can't change it.
The terrifying story of Devani Escobar. Devani was an 18-year-old law student in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico. On April 8, 2022, Devani attended a party at the Quinta Diamante in General Escobedo with 2 friends. Her friends reported Devani acting very strange throughout the whole night, up to the point that around 3 a.m., the friends called a taxi to take her home. According to the taxi driver, Devani was asking very strange questions and was very angry. But it is rumored that the driver was paid by the 2 friends to take Devani to a different location. When Devani was aware of this, she decided to step out of the car abruptly. The driver was unable to get her back inside the car, so he ended up taking a photo of her. This image became viral in the internet. This photo shows Devani standing alone on a highway going to Villa Nuevo Laredo. After this, security cameras show Devani going to Alcosa. This is a transportation company in Mexico. She went there around 4:30 asking for help, but the location was closed. Another camera later recorded her walking to Nueva Castilla Motel. It is here that the 18-year-old never came back out. 13 days later, the body of Devani Escobar was found in the water tank of the hotel. After a second analysis of the body by Escobar's father, revealed the body had sexual and physical abuse. The cause of her death was deep cranial contusion.
My dad has said that one time it was late. It was like on a Friday night. He said he went right after school. He went to church because they had like service and everything. And the church from the house is not that far. It's probably like less than 10 minutes away. He walks out of the church and he's walking. He feels like a presence looking at him. So he's looking around. There's no one outside. Everyone's still inside the service. And he starts hearing something. He's like, bro, what is that? He said he looked up and it was a black shadow just following him.
Whoa.
Like,
on the roof.
Kind of like Jeepers Creepers type stuff.
Ooh.
Like following him. He was like, oh, heck no. He said he ran all the way to the house. He started knocking on the door. He's like, let me in, let me in, let me in. And he said he just got in the house. I swear something was following me. He said that. He just looked up and it was like a black shadow, like Jeepers Creepers type stuff.
But I remember in the documentary, a lot of the old folks that we interviewed, they said back in the day there was no light, like they did, not like they have now, like street light. But they said back in the day it was super pitch black. And I remember they're saying that a lot of the stuff they saw was in pure fucking darkness. And I can picture your dad looking up and seeing that shit in the fucking darkness and running home.